Welcome to our session today, brought to you by Retail Fest at Top Drawer. My name is Nicole Higgins and I am the Buy and Retail Coach. I have 18 years experience working with companies like Primark, Marks & Spencer and Debenhams, and I now help product businesses start and scale their business. And I am joined today by Hannah Cox from Better Not Stop and Calcan Legacy from Wow Sancho's and Schwab UK. Thank you very much for joining me, ladies.
Hello.
Thanks for having me. So today we're going to explore what purpose really means, how to take action beyond the values and mission statement, and sharing ways to make that connection with your customer and beyond just a transaction. Now, before we go into the nitty-gritty, I'd just like to ask a couple of questions for the people that are here, if I can have a show of hands. So people who haven't started a business yet and are just thinking about one, if you could give me a show of hands. No? Great. People who've been trading 1 to 5 years. Thank you. And 5 years plus. Okay, great. And then also those that are actively using sustainability in their messaging. And then lastly, those that aren't really sure how to use sustainability in their messaging, and is that something that they really want to focus on. Great, thank you very much. Now, what we're going to talk about, ladies, today is what purpose, like I said, in terms of what purpose really means. But Hannah, can you introduce your business and your background, Better Not Stop?
Yeah, sure. So I've got 2 brands. One's Better Not Stop. It's a sustainable impact agency, which means we help for-profit organisations measure their impact, increase it, and hopefully increase their income by doing so. So we do that by installing sustainable frameworks within businesses that don't already have them. Things that you may have heard of, like B Corp certification, or aligning them with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in a way that they can really clearly measure their impact as a business and also communicate that to their customers and their clients. So that business was born from the pandemic, and a lot of the business owners that I knew were struggling with how to communicate their sustainability or wanting to put a sustainable journey within their business plan and didn't know where to start, and that's where our business comes in to help with that.
And Calcan, can you give your background?
Yes. So my name is Calcan. I'm coming from 2 businesses today. So the first is Sancho's. We are an ethical and sustainable brand, multi-brand retailer based in Exeter. We've been operating for 7 years. I can hardly believe it. Saying that makes me feel very old. Really introducing our customers to the potential that their shopping decisions can have in shaping supply chains and the lived experience of, hundreds and hundreds of garment workers and, of course, the industry as a whole. In June, my partner and I, who's there in his filming me right now, we launched a new company called Schwab. Schwab is a tool that enables brands to manage and monetize the entire lifespan of the products that they have already sold. Our goal is to create a way for brands to become both financially and environmentally sustainable by really leveraging the opportunities in the secondary market. And we're here today on store M18 talking to retailers and brands alike about what we do and how we can help them.
Thank you. So we've seen that brands that stand for something bigger than that they sell, communicate their purpose and demonstrate a commitment to sustainability are more likely to attract customers and influence purchasing decisions. Firstly, we want to start talking about a brand adopting an approach that shows a willingness to change. And your approach might not be perfect, and that's okay. Nobody's expecting you to get everything right from the beginning or to be perfect. But Hannah, to ask you, what does a sustainable brand mean to you?
Well, as I've mentioned these two, I could bang on about sustainability all day, so if anyone wants to talk to me further about it afterwards, I'm all ears. But a sustainable brand for me is a brand that considers its social and environmental impact just as much as it does how much money that brand is making. So when you're making strategic decisions within your business, you're not just thinking what's going to make me the most money, but what is the most ethical and moral thing I could be doing. So it's about having brand values that go from shareholder values, which is just making decisions based on wanting to make more money within your organisations for the people that own that business, to having stakeholder values, which is thinking about when you're making decisions in your business, how is that affecting the stakeholders of your business? And a stakeholder of your business is basically anyone that is affected by your business. So that could be your employees, their families, your supply chain, the people that in the community you're in, and ultimately everyone in the world is one of your stakeholders.
And why do you think sustainability and brands that are sustainable are so important to customers now?
Because the world is on fire. And we have a responsibility as individuals and as human beings on the planet we live in to try and have a positive influence on it. And we're in a very lucky position as business owners to really have a bigger impact and influence than people can have individually. Mm-hmm. So that responsibility to us is important. Yes, it's important to governments as well, but we're in a position of power here, and we should see that and take that opportunity to really have a positive impact.
And what are consumers now looking for in brands that they may have possibly overlooked previously?
There's lots of research and data backing it, but consumers are now more mindful about how they're buying things. Gen Z especially is more mindful about the brands in which they're buying from. But the difficulty, as we all have as business owners, is we're here to make a profit as well. And what's also really important to consumers is that they're getting stuff that's affordable and they're getting it quickly. And balancing that with your sustainability is difficult, but this is what consumers are looking for. Mm-hmm. And if you're not being more sustainable, you will get left behind. So if you're not taking responsibility as a business now, you will be left behind, and those sustainable brands will overtake you.
Okay. And Kalkan, how do you communicate your own brand and purpose to your audience?
Well, I think that to answer your first question, how do you show willingness to change? I think for us that is in alignment with how we communicate our brand purpose and objectives. Sustainability is a moving benchmark. The ecosystem of our supply chains, our product provenance, our market, and the lifespan of our products are complex, and the inputs that help us to understand what is ethical, what isn't, what is sustainable, what isn't, changes over time. And I think sustainable brands are brands that can learn with their customers effectively and share openly with their customers that learning process and that willingness to change to become more sustainable is an inherent characteristic of the business model. And of course, I tell them, we tell them. And so practically, to answer that in a practical way, in a pragmatic way, we have open and ongoing conversations through social media, through our newsletter, in our retail shop. And we're willing to, let our customers lead us as well into models of business that are more sustainable too.
And do you often get feedback from your customers in terms of things that they feel you should be doing or asking you questions? What kind of things or feedback do you get from them?
So most recently, our customers are really interested in the secondary market. So we, our age range probably ranges from about 18 to maybe 45. And what we're seeing is that people are doing things like they're adopting secondhand September, no buy years. They're increasingly motivated to question what their relationship with consumption is. I think this poses a really fundamental challenge to us as a store because, of course, we are reliant on new product sales. One of the ways we're adapting to this is by telling customers, we're going to sell you products that last, that have inherent value, that you are going to be able to get lots of value from over time, and then when you're ready to resell them, they're going to hold their value as well. And of course, with Schwab, we've created a way for them to resell with more ease. We're conscious that the market is changing and trying to serve it as we go along.
Right, thank you. And Hannah, what are the challenges of becoming a more purpose-led brand in retail?
It's you can't fake it, basically. You can't fake it. I mean, we've had brands contact our business saying we want you to help us become more sustainable. And it's very obvious very quickly with some brands that they see that as a really easy way to get to Gen Z by appearing more sustainable, by becoming a B Corp or putting in sustainable strategies. It's just not that easy to do. It's got to be very values driven from the company to be behind it for that to shine through. I think the biggest challenges businesses face when it comes to sustainability is still consumers need it to be affordable and they want it quickly. Yeah. And often that is with the existing models we have in business, very difficult to balance that with creating what is realistically a sustainable concept. So I think that's a big challenge for businesses. when they're looking at their sustainability originally. And I think businesses worry about greenwashing, and they worry about doing anything, and they worry about getting cancelled because they think they might be doing something in a good way, but it turns out they're not. So it's about, I think, going back to what we were saying before, it's about being transparent and having those conversations and being as honest as possible with your customers about what you're doing.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think if we take price as an example, part of the reason why so many industries are pollutive is because the price has been eroded on the expense of the environment and garment workers and people who create the products that we consume and we discard. So sustainable businesses, one of the responsibilities they have is to communicate to customers that some things come with inherent costs, and it's okay for us to absorb those costs ourselves as opposed to put them on people working lower down in the supply chain. Right? And one of our when we first started Sancho's, it was really important to us to position ourselves as affordable, and we would try to make people really see that we're trying to be as cheap as possible for them. Over time, what we've seen is that our customers are becoming, as they become more aware of what makes a product more sustainable, they're also becoming more prepared to pay a higher price for it as well. That's been our experience.
I think as well, it's like your point, as a business, you need to have sustainable business models, and if you are pricing your product too low, then you're not making enough profit, and then you as a business aren't in business much longer. And you talked, Hannah, in terms of, being authentic, and I think it's important to touch on that nobody's perfect from the beginning, and to own up if you make a mistake, and to just be transparent, like you said as well. I think some people are so afraid of taking the steps because they're afraid of being accused of greenwashing. And for those people that don't know, can you explain what a B Corp is?
Oh yeah, sorry, it's because I talk about them all day, every day. I assume everyone knows what I'm talking about, and I'm sure when you talk about your respective industries and businesses, you're the same, so I apologise. B Corp is a certification, and it's a process that any for-profit company can go through, which measures 5 areas of their business. It looks at their governance, how they look after their workers, their customers, the community around them, and the environment. So what is a B Corp? It's a business that is committed to having a positive impact on people and the planet, and not only through the work that they do, but also there's a legal change to become a B Corp. So B Corp businesses will have made a legal change to say that they're working in the interest of stakeholders, not just shareholders. Famous B Corps you will have heard of: Patagonia, Ben & Jerry's, Allbirds, Brewdog's just become a B Corp, The Guardian's a B Corp. There's around 4,000 around the world. They've been going since 2007. We got 82 at the beginning. There was about 400 in the UK last year. To put that into context of the certified brands that are B Corp, 4,000 applications from UK businesses came into B Lab last year. So it is a growing movement. It's a very difficult process to get through. It's almost, I would compare it in the easiest terms, like fair trade to chocolate is B Corp to business, which very much sums it up quickly. It's a lot more than that. It's a lot of work to become one, but it is a very easy way, once you have the B Corp certification, to show your values to your customers of your business.
Great, thank you. And Calcadan, we talked a little bit about it in terms of how you relooked at your business model a little bit, but in terms of, do you think there's a struggle to find a balance between the purpose and profit?
Absolutely. So has anyone here figured out how to be as profitable as your non-sustainable competitor? No, it's hard, and it's hard because you're often, you're making that decision that, I want a product to be more environmentally sound. I want to pay living wages. I want to sell something that someone's going to get long-term use of. And unfortunately, these things challenge our traditional concept of business, particularly retail, which is focused on selling as many units as possible, as many times as possible. I really believe that there are alternative models that bring more financial fruition than this one. I think that the secondary market has incredible opportunities. It's the fastest growing market. I think that businesses could be making money from products they've already sold if they set up their secondary business models effectively. that, coupled with kind of effective regulation of some of the industries, I think would result in a fairer playing ground for sustainable and non-sustainable businesses. And the reason that that's important, because it's obviously, there's a sense that businesses have the right to have the models that they currently have. But the reality is, for example, let's take single-use plastic products as an example. I might buy a single-use plastic product, use it a few times, and then that product might exist for 500 years. Our garments, 50% of clothing is made using polyester. So some of the clothes that we're purchasing today, wearing, on an average maybe 2 to 4 times when we have them, they're going to be around for 200 years. And so there is that cost associated, and it's important that those options start to reduce for all brands, and hopefully then businesses can be both financially and environmentally sustainable. I will say though, because I realise that might be a bit of a pessimistic viewpoint on it. I think the market is definitely growing. People are increasingly prepared to go for that sustainable option. I think the supply chain is widening, so it's easier to find the products that you're looking for, the supply of the natural materials that you're looking for. So I suspect that sustainability will become more profitable over time.
I think there's more advances in technology in terms of taking natural materials and making either fabrics out of them or energy out of them or whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
And how do you draw the line between promoting your purpose and preaching?
I don't know. Have I been preaching today? Like, raise your hands.
No.
Well,
not for me anyway.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know. I think do your thing, and if it's preachy, it's preachy. I used to be reluctant to come off as preachy or to tell people buy here and don't buy here, or to judge different lifestyles and things like that. But really, the onus for change is so immense. We've got 11 years. And even if you consider that timeline, we're considering it from our perspective, people living in one of the most developed countries in the world. This isn't the same for everybody around the world. If that means we have to change some of our, lifestyle choices, so be it.
Yeah.
If that's preachy, then I'm preachy.
Yeah, I think there's ways that you can communicate to your customer to make it real to them as well, and it's not scaring them, but it's basically black and white. If you don't change, X, Y, Z is going to happen. And Hannah, what do you think are the consequences for brands who don't keep up with customer expectations?
I think they'll be left behind.
Yeah.
I think certainly all the data that I've read leans towards, when it comes to retail and people that care about sustainability and their ethics and the values behind the brands that they buy, the younger they are, the higher the percentage of those consumers are that care. And I think that will continue to grow, because this is the generation that's going to have to live with the mess that we've created for them. So they are going to expect more from the brands that they buy from. I think from the data I've seen, the research shows that customers expect businesses to be responsible for their sustainability. They don't want it put on them. For the last, it seems to me the onus for the last 5-10 years has been, you should stop buying that plastic thing, you should stop buying those clothes from there. And I'm thinking, well, why is it sold? It shouldn't be sold to us as customers. These businesses shouldn't be allowed to sell these things to us. The government, there's higher up powers that can make bigger changes than us as individuals. So I think consumers are stopping to want to be made to feel bad, but also, as Kalkadan was saying, they're wanting to also learn about where their clothes and where their products are coming from, so that they can make those informed decisions. So being transparent as a business is really important, to have that brand loyalty from your customers and people who are buying from you because they believe in your business, not just because you're the one thing that's in front of them.
I think as well, there's so much more knowledge out there, and I think I was talking to someone recently, and I don't know if you all remember the image of the cotton bud with the seahorse, and it's like looking at things like that, and that really changed the use of single-use plastic. And there's so many more things that have been brought in terms of bills being passed that can't happen. So it's looking at alternatives for your business and doing that ahead of time before you're forced to do it. So looking at something like that. What do you think, Hannah, in terms of what do you feel the benefits are for those who adopt practices and embrace sustainability?
If we're talking about being preachy, I'm a preachy person. I'm happy to hold my hands up and be preachy about it. what's the negative from
Yeah.
doing something that's positive for people and the planet?
Mhm.
That's my question back. You know, there's no negative in doing the better thing for people and the planet. I mean, the difficulty we have as business owners is balancing our profit and our purpose, but there's no negative in doing the right thing.
Yeah. And so how can you start to be more purpose-led and sustainable in our business that can also impact the bottom line in a positive way? Are there things that you can, examples that you can give for that?
Yeah, I can go. I've handed out some flyers on your seats, and I've got some more here as well. And there's 5 things for you to consider. So, reposition your product group or your entire collection. Learn how to communicate that specifically and as transparently as you can, as Hannah has said explicitly. There is still a growing niche in sustainability, and I think is everyone here from smaller companies, or do we have any national chains here? Any national chains here? Okay, cool. So, you've got the benefit of trust with your audience, and so when you describe to them that you're on a journey, they're going to come along with it with you. And then I think a real opportunity is the secondary market. So really finding ways to new revenue from the products that you've already sold to customers, servitize the experience of the products that you've already sold from customers, create new experiences for them to build a relationship with your brand. We discussed price a little bit earlier. So one of the things we do at Sancho's is we have a transparent pricing model on a range of our products where we offer the same product at different price points. And the reason we do this is because, of course, a lot of sustainable products come at this, increased price, and that means that you immediately aren't going to be able to serve the entire market. And that transparent pricing allows us to segment the market and then once again be able to reach new customers too.
Okay, great, thank you. And we're just going to go through 3 tips, some of the things we've covered already, but there might be some additional things that we'll be adding to that. So, number 1, defining what your business stands for. So if Kasan or Hannah, if you want to just reiterate any kind of summarise any points that you've made, things like being authentic, being transparent, being transparent.
Yeah, I guess I would say we can't do everything, but we can do something, okay? You're not going to be able to solve every single problem that we're experiencing in business and sustainability as a solo founder or a solo business. So I guess pick your battles and really put yourself behind them. So the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals is goals that we have as individuals and as businesses to work towards. So perhaps looking at them and seeing if there's 1 or 2 that really stands out to your business and your values that you can work towards some goals and improving your impact in them would be a really good way to start, and it's a globally recognised thing you can look at too.
Thank you. And then always being clear and authentic. And I think in terms of that, talking about your values as well. Do you have anything to add to that, Kalkan?
I think for a long time I found it really difficult to understand what be authentic means, because it seems like one of those terms that is quite subjective and can mean lots of different things. What I found it to mean for me is just behave in a way that's true to you, and like that will look like different things to different people, but if you can do that and also if you can communicate that regularly with an audience, then what we're all competing for is the time of our potential customers. So it's easiest to achieve that time, I think, if you're capable of telling your own story in a way that's consistent and accomplishable for you. And yeah, that's what we try to do.
I think we spoke before about it's not just about product from a sustainability point of view. There's things you can look at like in-house processes, packaging and design from the beginning of the product to the end, and eliminating wastage. Do you have any examples of those kind of things?
Yeah, but also it's not, sustainability just isn't like you don't have stuff in plastic. Mm-hmm. It's also about your supply chain. So, the workers who've made your product being paid well. Are your workers paid well? Are you paying the living wage to the people in your business? Do you have employee benefits? Are you transparent about your finances? Do you have a board of directors, or is there just one person in charge making all the strategic decisions? So I mean, the B impact assessment, which is a completely free tool to use, I'm not trying to sell anything to you, is there for you to look at and look at those 5 areas of your business and look at the different areas you can be looking at your sustainable impact across. And there's so many different ways you can improve your processes, I think.
Yeah.
Just starting is good. It's a journey, so.
And then engaging customers on a deeper level. And how do you get your customers involved in that deeper level?
Gosh, so I think that I've been quite open with our customers the past couple of years. If I'm honest, I think it's taken a bit of a toll. It's hard to be very vulnerable and open to 60,000 people at a time. It's not the easiest thing to do. People love it and they respond really well to it, and it does result in really deep and loyal relationships, but it can be taxing. So what I'm trying to work on, if I share what I think would work in the future, so I'm going to really work on giving customers a wealth of information and knowledge that they can access through us that will help them on their journeys to becoming more sustainable. I think in that way we'll be able to sustain authenticity, give them something of value, and try to slightly, take a turn from the kind of vulnerability that social media kind of really requires. And that's going to be our strategy going forward.
And Hannah, do you have anything to add to that?
Just that I think, 101 in marketing, your best customers are your existing customers. So if you're providing them a fantastic product or service and you're talking to them and you're being honest and transparent about what you're doing in your journey, they're the people that will help you grow your business. Word of mouth advocacy is huge, and it's something that's really important. So engaging with your customers is a really easy way for you to be communicating, really getting that message out.
I think as well, getting them on board with making the decisions. So whether that's a design or which collaboration you might partner with or what charity you might support, and that you bring them into that with you.
Yeah, my second brand is the Better Business Network, which is a community for purpose-led leaders. And part of what we do is we have an impact fund, which our members choose where that money goes every month. And so having that collaborative effort of how their money is being spent has really created a really engaged community in what we're doing. So I'm seeing that in my business as well, yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Now, are there any questions from the audience about sustainability or anything we discussed yet? Over here. There's a mic coming towards you.
How important it will be transparency for any company in the next couple of years? What do you think?
How important transparency will be for companies in the coming years? I think we both can go. I think that more tools are becoming available that can really describe the provenance of a product, down to the cotton that was farmed, for example. As there will be more tools that describe the lifespan of products and the longevity of products, I think companies will use these to market their USP and their value proposition. Consumers will realize that the lack of information from other companies probably indicates lack of sustainable goals. So I think they'll become important. But, like all things, I think it'll be about different market groups, different demographics and different interest base.
Yeah. But I think it's important for you as a business. You want to be running your business in a way that you're quite happy for anybody to see how that's being run, where your products are being made. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any questions from anybody else? Well, the panel and I will be here for a couple of minutes if you've got any questions that you want to ask directly that you didn't want to ask the audience. Also, a recording of the session will be on Top Drawer's YouTube channel, and the audio will be on my podcast, Start, Scale, Succeed, in a couple of weeks, and that is aimed at product entrepreneurs that want to start or scale their business. So thank you very much for joining us, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Bye.